No, sir.
Pravina ma'am, any doubts? Hello, Pravina ma'am. Hello, Pravina ma'am.
Yes,
Are
sir.
there any, are there any doubts?
No, sir.
Have you completed the previous task?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll start with the today's task. So, is my Android Studio visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you can see in this layout I'm not adding anything. I only have one activity, which is my main activity.java file, and this main activity.xml file. So when I run it, this app, you can see there is nothing in my XML layout. And when I run this app, let it load. You can see this is the same app, but this time what I'm doing is I'm not writing my XML code in this XML file. I'm writing this XML code in my Java file. I'm creating the layout dynamically when I needed it. So why I'm using this is the one of the main thing which a professional app uses when they have a lot of templates to load. Like for example, uh, there is one app, the government app, DigiLocker named it. It is used to access all the documents of the government issued documents. So you can get all the government issued documents from that app, and the documents which you get from that app is considered as the valid documents. Okay, so when that app uses this type of XML is when, let's say, we are accessing our 10th marks card from that app. Okay, now for the 10th marks card, now I have studied in both Maharashtra and Karnataka, so I'll give that example. In my Maharashtra 10th marks card, in my name will be as in the other format. Like in Maharashtra, they first mention the last name, then the first name, then the father's name. Like my name will be in my Maharashtra will be Marja Abhinandan Sanjay. But when I complete my SSLC in Karnataka, then there will be another format term. They mention their name as the first name first, then the last name, the same as the Abhinandan Mache. So there is the difference in the templates, right? So we can't just create one XML layout for all the documents. Yes, if you are accessing some documents from other state, their template will be different, and we are accessing some document from the other state, their template will be different. Their templates will be not same with all the government documents, right? So for that, what they use is they actually create one XML layout, and they will parse that XML layout, and they will create the main XML UI elements with that XML parsing. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I haven't shown you how to parse the XML, but we will do it. But I'm just introducing how to create one layout dynamically. So what they will do is, yeah, have you learned the web development a little bit basic? Yes, remember,
Yes,
Praveen.
sir.
Basic no, na. Yeah, the what is DOM, the what is HTML, basic.
Yes, sir.
Pravina ma'am, do you
Yes,
know?
sir.
Okay, so how we develop in the web programs is we first create one structure of the HTML, right? The HTML are nothing but the tag names from which we create the structure of our web, right? So what this
Yes, sir.
then when we use that HTML code to manipulate, what we manipulate is we manipulate the DOM. Yes. So while manipulating the DOM, what we do is we select our HTML tag with the query selector or get element by ID or get element by tag name. Yes. So what we do is we get that element, then we change its style with the CSS or do some functionality on it, like setting an on-click listener on that tag, right? So same thing will be in the XML parsing in Android also. Let me show you one example. Okay, now you can say this is one XML code which is used by the DigiLocker also. This type of code, basically this is one templates. This is one templates class. In this templates, we will be adding all the templates which will be needed to create one whole UI. Okay, and then I am passing on another template as a child of it, and this template is having an ID of 1. That means if you are generating well, let's say if you are generating a marks card layout for a Maharashtra state board, then I will give it an ID as 1. Then but when I'm creating the marks card of the Karnataka state government, then I will give it an ID of 2. So what my Java file will do is, it will first check which ID it is. If we are accessing the Maharashtra state board of marks card, then it will create the UI from this template ID of 1. But when we are accessing the Karnataka state board marks card, then it will go and check the ID of number 2, and then it will check what elements are inside that tag. Okay, these are all the childs of this particular template. And in this template, I'm mentioning one header which will be my title. And now here also what I'm doing is, I'm just passing one ID here, and this ID I'm getting the data from this JSON formatted data. This is a one JSON class. In this JSON, you can see I'm in this ID, I'm just passing something ID here, something data to this ID. So what I'm doing is, in this template, I'm creating one ID here, and the ID which I want that font size to be 35, the color of the text, the style of the text. I'm passing it all here. I'm not generating any UI here. I'm just passing the data what I want inside my app. Okay, so what will happen is, whenever we are taking an let's say I'm accessing the template ID 1, so it will take all this data from here, check all the data. Let's say if it having a header tag, if it is having a header tag, it will create one a normal text view and add this text view. I take the ID of this, take the data from here and set it to the text view of that text view, right? Then what it will do is, so this will set the style of that text view, this will set the font size of that text view, and this will set the color of that text view. Yes, so I'm all the things I'm creating the UI is from the XML, JSON, and my Java file. I'm not adding anything in my main layout file. You can see this layout file don't have anything. It is only having a background color. That also we can parse from the XML layout only. No issues with that. But I'm just giving you an idea of why the professional app use this kind of templating IDs, because this UI elements is, if we are generating, we can also generate a lot many of UI here, a lot many of XML files here for Maharashtra state government, one another XML ID, then for Karnataka state government, then another one XML file. But that will increase the space of your app. This XML file takes a lot of space than a Java file. So that's why we don't create a lots of XML file inside our app. We just take it dynamically and create it dynamically from our Java file. So that's why we are learning how to create one layout dynamically from Java file. So it will not consume more space. And also our UI will be totally good, whatever we want inside the result. Is this point clear?
Sir, in assets folder, you are showing templates.xml and json.xml, right? So
Yeah.
where can I get the json.xml, sir? Directly you
No,
writing the code now?
I have created it. That is one. That is one. I'm doing another internship. There I have got that. It is an basically what I'm showing you is, it is an research and development task. Okay, it is not a simple task. No, I'm not going that deep. I'm only showing you the overall experience of it.
Okay, sir. Sir,
That
we can
basically,
create.
yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes, ask.
Sir, directly we can create XML. I mean, whatever you're writing, the styles or IDs you are given in the template.xml, right? Some styles are
Yeah,
you are given, right? So
yes, sir.
in that styles, we can directly applying from the XML also, right?
Yeah, that's the point of this whole thing, because we all if we are building a professional app to get all the government documents, the all the templates will be different for all the states. We can't generate the separate XML UI elements for all the states. If you are doing that, it will take a lot of space. Your basically 30 MB 40 MB app will consume up under 200 MB 300 MB. So for a basic app we don't need that much of space. If it is a gaming app, it is okay to have that much of space, but for a normal app to take the document from the internet, we don't need that much of space, and people will not download it if it is having that much of size, right? So for a basic app, our we want as less than as of our size of our app, but also we want to generate all the data from all the states. So that's why this was an idea of that DigiLocker company.
Sir, if I want to pass the class, I mean style class as a one in the XML main activity dot
Yeah, we will
XML,
do it in the XML parsing. I will show you how can do that.
the syntax is like ID na sir. In previous we are done
Yeah,
like
we have
activity
like
dot
in
ID
web
equal to
development
one.
also, what we do is we select the DOM, then we select the query selector, and that from that we get the tag name or something, then we manipulate it, right?
Yes
Same
sir.
thing applies here. We have to create a DOM first here in the app. Then we there are all lots of XML parser like XML pool parser, Saks parser, Jackson parser, but we you can use the default DOM parser also. Then what we do is we start one loop over the all the tag names in my XML file. Then we check which tag it is giving me. If the next tag is the let's say it is as a row, so it will create a row inside my UI element. And if that row has some text inside it, it will also create a text view inside of that row only. And then that final row, when it is completed, that row will be added to my main layout.
Okay sir.
Is that idea clear you?
Yes sir, clear sir.
Yes, Pravina ma'am.
Clear, sir.
So first we will only check how to create an XML layout fully dynamic. So I'm not extracting any data from here from the XML or JSON. I'm just showing you how to create the whole layout dynamically from the Java file. So we will create a new project here. And now I am having my blank XML file and blank Java file, right? What I will do is, first of all, I will just change it this constraint layout to my linear layout, so we can handle it easily from our Java file. And I will set it orientation as vertical, and I will give it an ID because I want to add my all the dynamic XML layouts which we create inside our Java file to be added to this particular linear layout, which will be our main layout, and nothing we will create here. Yes, and I also remove this text view here. Now the first thing you can see in this also XML layout, I'm first adding one background color to my whole body of the app. So I don't know the hexadecimal code of this green color, so I'll check the hexadecimal code from here only. I'll check from the code here. Yes, I want this color. Yes, this color I want. Let's say I'll just copy this color and I'll remove from it. And we will add that same background color from here now. First, I need the main layout here. So what I'll do is I'll create one linear layout item here. The main linear layout will be. Then I'll find you by ID. Main layout. Yes. So now I will change the background color of this main layout. How you can do that? You can just call the linear layout dot set background color. In this color, you can see that it in the suggestion also it is asking me an color of integer format. So which we have copied that is in the hexadecimal format. You know the hexadecimal format, right? How that works? Yes.
No, sir.
Okay. So I'll show you here. And you can see this is an hexadecimal code only basically. This is the hexadecimal code. Sorry. So you know the RGB coloring format.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, in the RGB coloring format, what we do is we specify some value to my R, to the G, and to the B, right? So that will convert the whole thing into some separate color in RGB. From where we go, from 0 to 225, I guess, 255, I
Yes.
guess. Yeah.
Two. Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes.
255 we go from in the RGB formatting. So from 0 is the darkest color which we get, and the 225 is the color of the. If I want the red color fully, I will go for 225, 255, right? In the RGB, in the we will basically do like this, and here we pass some values here. For the red, say let's say I pass 255. Then if I only want the red color, then other format I will pass as 0, right? So it will give me a red color. So same thing here. This the first two digits applies as the red color, then the next two, this two digits will apply as the green color, and then this two as the blue. But here the formatting is from 0 to yup. If you know the binary coding, from 9 we call ABCD till 15, right? Yes.
No, sir.
Okay, in binary what we do is, if you are representing 0, we will just add 000, and if you are representing 1, we will add 0001, right?
Yes,
Then
sir.
if you
Yes.
are representing 2, then we add 0010. Yes, these are the
Yes, sir.
binary coding. So when we reach to 9, after that we will use ABCD for representing only. If you are representing 10, we will use A, B, C, D, like that. Okay. So this thing also applies this. I will show you the coloring format here. I will add the background color by manually. This time I want, let's say I want the black color. I am giving an hexadecimal code here. Code here. So for black color, I want all the colors to be 0. So what I will do is, first I will declare red as the 00, then my green as 00, then my blue as 00. You can see it is changing to the black color. Same in the RGB color also. Now the peak we get is the yup in this coloring format. So for the peak color, I want the yup as the red, yup as the green also, and yup as the blue also. So it is giving me the white color only, right? So this is the hexadecimal coding format. So we'll use that only. So in this coloring format, we have to pass one integer format, but what we are getting is an hexadecimal format. So first we have to convert it to the integer format. So what we will do is, we will just call color dot parse color. So it will parse that hexadecimal code into an coloring format. So you can paste it here. Now, if I run my app again, now you can see in my default layout, it is white color, and I'm adding the color here. So if we check that now, you can see here it is giving me the green color, right? So it is working correctly. So it is passing the color from the hexadecimal code to the whichever required for it. So it is done now. So we'll start adding some text now. In my another layout, you will see this. I am adding my name first, then my age, then this is my 12th college, and this is my engineering college. Then I am just adding one image view to show how you can convert the image, and then I'm even card view. It is not a button. I'm adding one card view, and inside that card view I'm adding one text view. So we'll create all this thing. First we have to add this name text view. So what you can do is, Just you have to mention here as the text view, give it a name, and then you have to just call new text view, and you have to give it an context here. Our context is the main activity dot this. Yes. Now it will create a view of a text view. So now we can use this view to convert our text view. So let's say I will set a text here as my name. Yes. Now this text will be added to the text view, but if I run my app here, it will show me nothing, because that is why, because I'm creating the view. That is correct, I'm creating text view here, but I'm not adding this text view to my this main linear layout. So I have to do that. So how you can do that is, first I will add some color to my name here, so you can see the color correctly here. Set text color, and I will give it in white color. And then you have to add this text view to our main linear layout. We are extracting our main linear layout here with the ID here, and then we will use that only. We will call that linear layout dot add view. So here we can pass our custom view which we have generated inside our Java file. We will just, I will pass the view here. This was the view which I was creating for the text view. Now if I run my app again, now you can see I'm getting the name here, right? So it is working fine. Now I also have to add some other features, like I want to make this text view a little bigger, and also I want to add some styling to it as the bold, and also I want to center it. So you have to do that from here only. First I will add the styling here. For the styling, you just can't get one separate function just for to like set style. There is a different function, it is called as set type face. You have to use that when you are applying the styling, and then you have to just call it as the, if you want to add a bold, you have to call this bold, and it will give you the suggestion here. You have to hit enter. Then once that is done, you can get the bold text here. Now also I want to set some text size here, so I'll just call it set text size, and you have to pass the size of it. I'll say I'm passing 22 sp here. Now let's check that. You can see it has got the style here as the bold. It has changed the text size also. But now I want to center it. But also there is one, I'll show you only. You can add directly the gravity as set gravity here dot center. You have to mention the gravity here as here, like set gravity, and inside the argument list you have to again mention the gravity dot center. So if you run this again, the text is centered, but now also want some top margin over here. Yes, if when you are applying a margin, first you have to mention some width and height of your text view. While we are doing this same kind of text view, let's say if I'm adding the text view here, what we will do is, you can see the first two option only which I get is the layout width and the layout height, right? These things are only used to apply some margin. So I have to mention also here the layout width and the layout height of this particular text view. So for that, what you can do is, you have to create one layout parameters here. So how you can create, I'm just creating a linear layout parameters here. Linear layout dot layout params, and then I will mention it as the params only, and then I'll create a new layout params, and here inside here you can directly pass some hard coded width. If let's say if you want 200 height of your text view, you can just pass the 200 also, but I want the wrap content and the match parent, that type of height and width here. So what I will do is, I will just again call my linear layout dot layout params, layout params layout params dot. Now you can see it is giving an option of wrap content. So to use that wrap content, then again I'll call the linear layout for adding the height also, layout params dot wrap content. So this was my height and width here. I'm setting the height and width using the layout parameters here. You can see now the correctly. Now once this is done, I want to apply margin to that text view. Now you can't use this gravity function here because this gravity function will be applied to the view here. It will be not applied to the parameters. What we are doing is just we are, let's say I'm just creating one box here, and in that box I'm adding one text view. So if you are giving the margin to the text view directly, it will not be applied to that box. This is basically the box type of layout here. So I have to add the margin and the gravity to this particular box, so the inside text view also be centered and also have the margin over here. So I'll just delete it from here, and you have to now create set this layout parameters to your text view dot set layout params, and inside your here you have to pass that params here. Now once this is done, you can just call that params function and dot set margin functions. And you can see it is asking me for the 4 argument list: integer left, integer top, integer right, and integer bottom. These are the yeah, which we use in the XML layout, although the same kind. Let's say I want the left as the 0, top as 60 margin, the right as 0, and the bottom also the 0, right? Then when I do this, let me show you. It has added some margin here at the top, and nothing from the starting, nothing from the end, and nothing at the bottom. So now I want to center this. So how you can do that is you have to call your params again dot gravity, and now you have to equal to gravity dot center. Now let's check it. Now you can see this is done. Our first text view is done here. Now then I want to add on another text view for the age here. I will create that new text view and the context here. And then I will just set the text here. Text. Then I will set the color here. Set the size. Let's say 18. Then the color as the white. For white we use the FFFF. And then once that is done, I want to add this particular text view to my main linear layout. So you can call the linear layout dot add view, and inside you have to pass the age, which was the text view name here. So when I run it again, now you can see it is here, but I want it in the middle. And this time I don't want any margins here. I just want this text to be in the middle. So I'm not adding any layout parameters here because I don't want any margin here. So directly you can add the gravity to your text view right here. So you can just call your text view dot set gravity, and inside here gravity dot center. These were the two types of the gravity which you can apply. If you are mentioning some gravity, mentioning some margin, if you want inside your text, first you have to add the parameters in which we have to define the layout width and the layout height. Yes, then you have to use that parameters only to set the margins and also to set the gravity. But when you don't need any parameters, you just directly need it to be centered. You can use the direct set gravity function on your text view. So these were the two examples of the parameters here. Now once this is done, now there is one another thing. Now this will be a little tricky part here. When we are adding two columns here, yes, in the single row we are adding two columns here. By default in the XML layout it is so easy, right? You have to just mention one linear layout with the orientation of horizontal and just add two text inside here. But when you are creating it from the Java file, you have to take care of some things. like which layout parameters you are using, in which layout you are adding your text view, and also you have to mention the weight from here only. So what you have to do is, say first you have to create one linear layout, again one linear layout. I'll just call it as the column layout. Yes, and the new linear layout and the context. Now once that is done, you have to set some orientation to it. I'll just call it dot set orientation, and you have to pass here as the horizontal. I want the horizontal orientation for this. Now once that is done, I also want, now first when we are adding some inside of here, when I am adding two text view inside of the main linear layout, I also want that main linear layout should take all the space of the parent here. That means the width should be match parent and the height should be wrap content, right? Is that clear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ramya ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Have you understood till now, like the text views?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. For the this type of layout, first we want a linear layout which should take all the space of here, by like the width as the match parent and the height as the wrap content, and inside that we have to add two text views. So what you can do is, you have to first create one, again the layout parameters, linear layout dot layout params, and I'll call the params one equal to new layout param, and again the same thing, but the width as the match parent this time, and the height as the wrap content. Okay. Now you have to set that parameters to your main column layout. So I'll just call that and set layout params, and you have to pass the params here. Yes. Now once that is done, you can just add some margin if you want. We basically want the margin, so I'll add the margin here. Dot, sorry, the params I want. Dot set margin 0,60,0,0. Now once that is done, I will create the text views here. First name, let's say I want the PU college man. Yes. New text view and the context again here. Now here, so I have to basically add some data to my text view. Dot set text. Yes. Now once the text is settled, so I want to set the color here as color dot pass color, and I'll pass the white color. Now, and also want to set some gravity, but I will define it afterwards. For then I create on another text view here as my engineering college. So set some text here. And some color to it. How to pass that color. Color dot pass color. And inside here you have to pass. Yes. Now you can see that our main linear layout which we want for the match parent is created here with the orientation of the horizontal, and also we have created some two text view. So we will add that first here. So first I have to add this two text view to my column layout, and then I have to add this column layout to my main linear layout. So first I will call that one our column layout dot add view, and there we have to pass our first text view here. Then again the column layout, because we have to create one another column to our second column, and here I have to pass my engineering column. Yes, and then once our column layout is created, I have to pass this whole column layout to my main linear layout. My main linear layout was this one, and then I will add this here. Now if we check this here, now we can see yeah, it is in the straight line. So I'll add some breakpoints here so you can check it correctly. Okay, now it has some breakpoints here. Now you can see even I am defining here as the match parent. Yes, but these two are here. So if you don't know what the things are going wrong here, because we don't have any layout here, so that we can check what the things are going wrong. So you can use the another tool of the Android Studio, which is here in the bottom right corner as the layout inspector. You have to open that layout inspector, select the process from here, which was my emulator name, and then you have to select the which project you are working on. I am working on this dynamic layout project, so it will give me the layout which is on my emulator screen, right? So you can see this was my first text, this was my second text. Now it is highlighting the width also here, you can see that. And then this is my text view, first text view, first text view, the second text view. And if I go here, so my linear layout is taking full width here. I don't know if you can see the line here because it is so small. So if you work on your Android Studio, you will get some layout here. As we get the same kind of layout inside our XML file, so it will show you the width length here. So it is showing me the my linear layout is taking the whole width, but my text views are not happy with it. My text view are just taking the small space possible in that linear layout. So what I want to do is I want to add some weight to it. So it the both text views should take the common space. So what you can do is you have to again call your parameters here. You have to first call your column layout here dot set weight sum. Okay, and the weight sum will be 2, because I want to distribute this text view and this text view as 1 1. So I'm main layout should have the width text the weight sum of 2 here. Then if I'm adding, like also I mentioned here, when you are adding some margins, or when you are just doing some things with the which are related to the width and height, we have to mention that as the parameters. So now when we are adding the weight, it is also related to the width and height. So then only it will share some common space with if you are having the width of the text view. So for that also, for the both text views, I have to create one layout parameters here. So I'll first create that layout parameters. Just call layout parameters, and I'll call it as params2. Let's call it as text view param. Yes. And then here I will create linear layout parameters, linear layout parameters dot wrap content I want for my text views. I don't want this to take the whole space because I want to distribute it in the even space. Now layout parameters dot wrap content. Now I can use this layout parameters to use this weight here to my text view. So how you can do that? You have to just add the first layout parameters to your text view here. I will call the text view dot set layout params, and here you have to pass the text view param. The same thing for my another text view. You have to call that dot set layout params and the my text view here. Now once that the parameters here. Yes. Now once the parameters are set to the text view, I want to use that parameters to set some weight also. So how you can do that is you can just take this your layout parameters here, layout parameters dot, you can see it is giving me an option of weight here. So I'll call that option, and then I'll mention the weight as 1 here. Okay. So what I'm doing is, for this particular parameter with the wrap content and wrap content, I'm only giving the weight as 1, and the same layout parameters I'm adding to both text views here. So what it will happen, the first text view is also take the same weight of 1, and the second text view will also take the same weight of 1, and my total sum of weight is 2 for my main linear layout. So if I run this again, now you can see these are taking equal space here. Now, but my text view is not aligned center here. So what you can do is directly you can align that to center here. You have to call the text view dot set gravity, and then gravity dot center. The same thing for my another text view. Now let's check that. You can see that thing is done now. My both the textures are taking the equal space, and also it is centered now. So I just will increase the text size also here. As the 80, and I'll apply the same thing here also, but the name will be different. Okay, now you can see that correctly. It is taking the same space, but it is also aligned center here. Now this part is done. Now what else we want is, we want some image. This will be the image from our drawable section only, and we have to generate that here. So for that I will just copy the image view first. I'll add it to my drawable section. Okay, now that is done. Now we have to define the new image view here. Let's say new image view and the context here. And then we have to set some resource. We have already seen how you can set the drawable resource. You have to just call the set resource here, and you have to pass the resource here, which is r dot drawable dot image one. Yes. And then you can just add it to the main linear layout. Add view, and then you have to pass the image. Yes, are the things clear till now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Ramya ma'am. Okay. So now what the thing is, this image was with the correct height and correct width, so it is taking the width and height which I wanted. But if you are adding some vector asset are too small by default with the height and width. So this image is having the height and width which I wanted, so it is arranging it correctly here. But let's say I don't want the width as this one, I just want it to be little smaller. What I can do is, again you have to create one layout parameters for this, and you can add that layout parameters, create one layout parameters, and I'll call it the -3. Now you can see I have already mentioned you can create the layout one directly with the hard coded section here. You can see the height and width as 400, 400, and then you can add this layout parameters to your image view. Oh, I'm passing the image here. I have to pass the params here. Okay. Now run it. Now you can see it is only taking the 400 width and 400 height here. So you can define the height and width of the layout by using the layout parameters here. So I just delete it because I'm having the correct width and height. You can change your height using the layout parameters. Why it is not changing? Let's say we'll just define the height and width only again. Okay. Now this is done. You can also add some gravity to it also. So I'll just move to the next one. The next one was here. You can see I'm creating one card layout here, and then in that card view, I'm adding one text view inside it. So first we have to create that one. Yes, so we will create one card view here. So it's a card view as the button card view. This and the new card. The pass the context here. Now once this card view is done, you can add some like a card elevation to it. So I'll just add that dot set card elevation. Let's have 30, and then I want to set some radius of it. Set radius, and you can pass the radius here. And then that is done. I also want it to be centered, but I will do it afterwards because there is another thing we have to do first. So I'll just add the set card background color, and I'll add the blue color here. So I don't know what is the hexadecimal of the blue color, so I will just create it here and copy it. Just copy this blue color and set it here. Color dot pass color. Okay. Now if I run my app again, because it is not having any inside child here, so it will be the default height with the 0. So first we will create a text view here to add it inside our card view. So I'll just call it as button text view, and then a new text view, and it does this, and I'll set some text to it. Says click me. Then also to set some color to it, color or path color, and the white color. Yes. Then I will add this text view only directly. First, I have to call the text view here. Sorry, I have to call my card view here. Then add view, and inside the card view, I have to pass my text view. And then when the text view is added to the card view, I also want that card view to be added to my main linear layout. So I have to call that also main linear layout add view and my card view here. Let's check it. Now you can see it is having the card. You can see this is the card view with the background color, and this is the text inside it. Now the by default it is taking the whole space here. So you have to what the color we have applied. It is not a valid color, I guess. Yeah, that was not a valid color. second. Yeah, now it is giving me the blue color. Now first what we have to do, we have to convert my card view as the wrap content and wrap content. Then I would want to add some padding to my text view here, because I don't want to add the padding to the card view. So it will be add some padding over here at the top, but we add some padding to my text view. It will grow the height of my card view here. So what I will do is first I'll just make an layout parameters for my card view. I just call the card view dot layout parameters. Change it. And then I'll call it as params. And then the again whole thing dot wrap content again wrap content. Now I can use this to my card view. Layout parameter. Now let's check it. Now you can see it is taking the wrap content and wrap content here. So now once that is done, we want to add some padding to it, inside padding to it. So we will go back to our text view. We will call it then dot check to the set padding here. Now it is also the same when we are applying to the margin. We have to mention the left padding, right padding, top padding, and bottom padding. So what we will do is I'll give the left padding is 60, the top padding is 40. Again, the right padding is 60 and the bottom padding is 40. So if you check it, you can see it is now correctly, right? We are getting on button with the text inside it. So I'll also add some text size to it. Yes, now it is little bigger. So now the next thing is we have to align this card view to the center here. But if I call this card view directly here, you can see that button dot view dot set gravity. There is no option for the gravity here. It is only giving me an option to foreground gravity, transaction group, and the other thing. I don't have the gravity by default for the card view. So what I have to do is I have to create one another linear layout. I will call it the card layout, and then linear layout, and here you have to pass the main. Yes, now once that is done, I want to wrap this card view inside this linear layout, and I will give this linear layout the gravity of center. Where are we adding the card view here? First, we are adding the button to our text view to my card view here, and then I'm adding my card view to my main linear layout. But I don't want that. I want to add that card view to my card layout, and then this card layout I want to apply it to my main linear layout. What the card layout? Then here I want to specify the gravity to it. Right dot center. Now I can see it is centered correctly. Yes. Are there any doubts?
No, sir.
Sir, can you use a button instead of card view?
Yeah, you can use the button directly. I'm just showing you how you can do the card view here, because you can directly add the button on your own when I explain the text view. So it will be simple like the text view only. But for the card view, we don't have the gravity functionality. So I wanted to show you that how you can add that functionality to it. Because for the button, you can directly add the button, directly center it. No problem with that. But you will not get the radius, the elevation which we get from the card view.
Okay, sir.
Any other doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Then these are the little advanced things. If you are learning it like the JSON parsing, XML parsing at the freshers level only, this will help you in the placements also. It is lot advanced topic. This is the simple layout which I'm showing, but there are a lot of complex layout which we can build with this type of thing, like which I mentioned the earlier. We can just give it a command and it will create the whole layout for us. So we can do that type of complex functions with this type of functionality here. So I'm giving you the simple overview of it, how you can generate some things from the Java file, but you have to practice this if you want to just make the whole complex things. But when we are dealing with the dynamic layouts, when we are creating the layouts from our Java file, we mainly use the linear layout or the table layout. Table layout I have not introduced yet. This is also the same like the linear layout. It will just use the main table first, then it will add the rows to it. If you are creating the table layout here, you have to first add the table layout here, which is this one, and then that content. And then when we create this table layout here, we have to add the rows to it. So you can call the table row here. And in this you can add the other things, like if you want the text to in that row, you can add the text to in that row. The same thing here. So same thing we use mostly for the dynamic layouts. We use the mostly the table layout or the linear layouts, because these are the you can handle the easily, because linear layouts we can handle easily by setting the parameters and the other things. But when you are dealing with the constraint layout, we have to also see the constraint of it and the other things. So it is not preferred. We just prefer the table layouts or the linear layouts. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Sir, I have a
So
general doubt, sir.
yeah.
Sir, if I want a placement on Android platform,
Yeah.
then which type of questions they will ask frequently, sir?
The most type of questions you will get it from your resume only. What type of projects you are mentioning on your resume, what type of certification you are mentioning on your resume, that type of questions they will ask. But you are like, let's say if you are adding on project with the API calling, so they will ask most questions on the API calling only. That type of.
Okay, sir.
But these things which I'm teaching now, like the dynamic layouts, the JSON parsing, the XML parsing, if you know, if you have the good knowledge of it, it will help you a lot in the placements also, because that are the things which the professional app use a lot of times. So if you are going into a company, you're doing the job for them, you have to be good at the JSON parsing at least, because that is the widely used you can say the widely used functionality. Because in the web programming also you have seen they use the JSON parsing to get some data. And also the same in the Android also they use JSON a lot. There are also the specific databases which are mainly working on the JSON, like the MongoDB. Yes, it work on the Bison, which is the same as the JSON, but it converts into a binary function. Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, how API will used in an app, sir? So how it is helpful to connecting one activity to another?
API will provide you only the specific data. Okay, like which I'll show you. You can see this was the layout from the DigiLocker, which is under development still. But you can see this is the template which I'm mentioning here. From this, which I want to generate some views, like we have generated today, like what the text views, the linear layout. Some you can see here I'm using the mainly table layout and the row inside it. So when I'm getting the tag as table, I want to create a table view, and then when I'm getting the row, then I want to add that row inside this table, and then I want to add this table inside my main template. So you are getting the idea. And then inside this row, you can see there is one label which will be just if I'm getting the tag as label, I want to create one text view. And then from this, I'm passing the color, font size of that text view, style, and I'm passing one ID here. This is not an data. This is an ID here. When I get this id, I am referring to my JSON. This is my JSON, which will I will get from the net. When we are calling it, I will get this type of output from the API, my API. So when I'm getting this type of output, you can see this is the my main array of the users, and in that array I'm having some, these are the id. You can also call it as a key, the key object pair. Yes. Then when I'm getting this id, let's say I'm getting the id as the name. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this id, then I'm checking this id inside my JSON. So here is my id as the name. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the data from this name id, and then I'm setting this text to my text view. So this type of a functionality will be only in the professional app. Whatever they will do is they will first call the API, then they will give you an ID of that. Then you have to check that ID and you have to get the specific data from that ID. Yes, is that clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Yes. Any other doubt,
No, sir.
Ravina ma'am? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. If you are adding some projects of this functionality, it will help you a lot. So I'm teaching you. You can go on the complex levels of it. There are lots of other parsers also which I mentioned. You can use that, but first you have to know how you can create the dynamic layout. We will be not be doing like this only. When we are dealing with the JSON, first we have to check the IDs. As I said, this color, this font size, this bold style, we all retrieve it from the XML layout. When we are retrieving it, then we are adding it. So this goes in the complex levels also. This is the simple layout which I will show you. You can just go and research on it. You will get a lots of things to learn, and this will help you also in the placements also. These are the preferred skills you should need as an Android development. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Any other things?
No, sir.
Okay. So if there are no doubts, we will end this meeting. You
Thank you,
can
sir.
Thank
for the today's task, you can generate any layout whichever you want. But what I want is, I want you to learn all these things, like how you can create the two columns inside one, only one linear layout, how you can use the image views, and also you can use the card views. So make sure, if you want to change the layout, you can change whatever you want. You can create all the things whichever you want. I am not mentioning you have to create the same kind of layout, but if when you're creating, you have to make sure you're using some columns here with the two columns, and some images and some card layouts, because the button layout is easy to add on, but the card is a little different.
Okay,
Yes.
sir.
Yeah. So we'll end this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.